We want to believe that decision-making is rational, that we evaluate the pros and the cons of something and make the best decision that aligns with our true preferences. But as behavioral scientists, we know that that is not always true, that our preferences are influenced by the environment of decision-making. Today, we will see this in action. We'll go over how people make decisions about which job to apply for. By the way, this is a big decision, and we'll talk about how UX design plays a role in shaping those preferences. But first off, if you haven't gone through the Otta sign-up flow, you gotta. Do you see what I did there? Otta, gotta. I think it's pronounced Otta. I hope it is. But everyone was talking about Noom in 2023, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Otta in 2024. I really like the sign-up flow. Actually, not why we're here today. We're here today because once you get into the product, Otta presents jobs in a way that provides a macro lesson for all of us PMs and marketers. So I'm going to go over how they present jobs. We're going to click here. Okay, great. Experienced product manager at Plaid. Wonderful. Senior product manager at Otta. Senior product manager at Salesforce. This is called sequential ordering. And this is basically like Tinder. You see something, you make a decision, and then you swipe, you see something else. What is the opposite of this? Simultaneous ordering. This is basically a suspect lineup where all of the information is presented at once. You're asked to make a decision between options. And the argument today is how this is presented, sequential decision-making, simultaneous decision-making, changes what we want. And how do we know this? So actually, prior research did look at suspect lineups. It basically compared when witnesses looked at suspects one by one, like Otta does, and simultaneous ones where they looked at the full lineup. And so the question here then is who makes fewer mistakes? Who had more false positives? The people who looked at people together, which one of these people did it? Or sequentially, did this person do it? Yes, no. Did this person do it? Yes, no. And it turns out that when witnesses looked at suspects one by one, the sequential lineup, they made fewer mistakes in wrongly identifying someone as a criminal. So why? So why does sequential ordering one by one, just like Otta, result in fewer mistakes? It's because this method really changes how we think and evaluate the option. When we view options sequentially, we're judging each option on its own merits. We're not comparing it to other things. Instead, we're evaluating it based on a standard that you have in your own head. Let's try this out. So, do I like a senior product manager at Salesforce? Well, I don't know, 1,000 employees is kind of like too much for me. I think I want a smaller company. Stitch Fix is hiring. Product manager at Stitch Fix. I kind of want a B2B company. I don't really want B2C. You see what I'm doing here? I'm basically comparing these two companies to the thing that I have in my head about what is optimal. That is very nice because it aligns with my preferences, but it's causing me to pass, to swipe. And so I may like this job, but not enough to really commit. In simultaneous decision-making, it's the opposite. People tend to make relative judgments. We compare the small details of a thing. So I'd say, do I want Salesforce or Stitch Fix? And I may look at small things like, is it remote? Is the salary? And I'd say, which one do I like? Okay, great, Stitch Fix, we're in, right? I'm actually making a decision between things versus against the optimal one. It's like scanning. I kind of think of it like scanning a row of apples, like which one looks the best. It's unlikely in that case you're going to walk away without an apple. You're just going to pick one of the 5 apples. And it makes us more likely to pick something, but maybe less likely to align with our optimal preferences. Okay, you see where I'm going here? So in cases where you are not asked to pick a suspect from a lineup, it's possible that false positives are kind of okay. So for Otta, their job is to get me a job. And how do they do that? Like they need to get me to apply to a job. That's the first step. And so which of these 3 jobs do you like? It may not fully align with my preferences, but you're probably going to get me to pick something, right? Because so it's kind of like dating. These marketplaces are really hard. You actually need to throw a lot of darts. And so the person who applies to 10 jobs that they generally like is probably more likely to get a job, get an offer, than the person who applies to the one perfect dream job. Following? Okay, so what's the macro lesson here? Well, based on the research with the suspects, ordering effects do matter, right? That's kind of a macro lesson. But it also implies for the UX decision that this type of ordering can really affect people's decisions, even when they're big decisions, even when it's their livelihoods, like what jobs do you apply to? So Basically, in conclusion, I think if you've been in this field a while, you know that things like ordering bias matters, like what's first in a list, people are more likely to choose. If you didn't know that, you should you should note that. But also the insight here is like how the list is designed in general could also have a bigger influence on your or your users' choices. So UX matters even for big decisions. And look, I think I'd be okay with a false positive right now.